We live in a time where it's cool to be evil. And if you are speaking the truth, then you are considered lethal. Dang. Please do not let them deceive you. The Most High is coming back soon with vengeance and wrath for the evil. I do not care if they kill me. You see, 'cause my soul is immortal. The money and gold not important. The Most High restoring the order. I pray for your sons and your daughter. For real.
Hey, what's good, party people? So today I'm going to get into the role of Yasharel and what that means for both, Israelites as well as Gentiles and the rest of the nations. Also, it should be able to help us understand a little more into the kingdom of Yah that is to come. So that's cool. There's going to be a lot of precepts in this. I'll be, reading at some points large chunks of scripture. So it's probably going to be a little bit longer, but I think this is a really important topic, which will lead into other subtopics. So it'll just be a little bit longer, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to start in Daniel 7. So Daniel 7, and then I'm going to read from 13 down to 27. So here, Daniel's talking about what he's seeing. I was watching in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He came to the Ancient of Days. Okay, so already, this is Mashiach, right? And they brought him near before him. Then to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom, the one which shall not be destroyed. So this last part, his kingdom, the one that shall not be destroyed, that's also referencing, the vision that he's describing here, but also the statue. So Nebuchadnezzar's statue, he had that dream. Daniel interpreted it according to what the Most High told him. And remember, at the end of that, at the end of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, with this statue, a mountain hit the feet, and the whole statue came tumbling down, broke into fine dust, and completely blew away. And this mountain that destroyed, okay, remember the statue represents human history. So it represents the empires, the kingdoms that rule throughout our history as humans. This mountain broke all that away to where, nobody will remember any of that. And that mountain grew and took over the whole earth. So that's exactly what happened in that vision. It was symbolic, right, of what's going to happen. So here's the breakdown of that. Okay, continuing on, verse 15. I, Daniel, was grieved in my ruach within my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near to one of those who stood by. Okay, so that also tells us that, there's multiple people, maybe even more, around him, as he's having this vision, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made known to me the interpretation of these things. Those great beasts, which are four kings which arise out of the earth. So here he's talking about the vision that he had with these four beasts, and then the fourth one being exceedingly strong here. Okay, so for the context, go back to the beginning of Daniel 7, and then you can read from there. But anyway, okay, so which are four kings which arise out of the earth, but the Kodashim of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Okay, so that's an important piece. The Kodashim of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom. Possess means like to occupy. They will take control of the kingdom. Okay, verse 19. Then I wished to know the truth about the fourth beast, which was different from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, with its teeth of iron and its nails of bronze, which devoured, broke in pieces, and trampled the residue with its feet, and the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn which came up, before which 3 fell, namely, that horn which had eyes and a mouth, which spoke pompous words, whose appearance was greater than his fellows. I was watching, and the same horn was making war against the Kodashim, and prevailing against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and a judgment was made in favor of the Kodashim of the Most High. By the way, this term in Hebrew, Kodashim, it means the set-apart ones. Okay, we'll get into who these are. And the time came for the Kodashim to possess the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it, and break in pieces. The 10 horns are 10 kings who shall arise from this kingdom, and another shall arise after them. He shall be different from the first ones, and shall subdue 3 kings. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the Kodashim of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and law. Then the Kodashim shall be given into his hand for a time, and times, and half a time. But the court shall be seated, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and destroy it forever. Then the kingdom and dominion, and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven, shall be given to the people, the Kodashim of the Most High. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hallelujah. So again, we see that there is a king, right? His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. So the king of this kingdom is Yeshua, right? When he comes, he will establish dominance and set up his kingdom, as well as the dominance over the rest of the world. And when I say world, the rest of the nations, and of those, the righteous of the nations. Okay. So that comes up in verse 27, right? What did it say? And the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people, the Kodashim of the Most High. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. So the Kodashim will rule with their king. Okay, that was also, I think it came up in 22, verse 22. Until the Ancient of Days came, and a judgment was made in favor of the Kodashim of the Most High, and the time came for the Kodashim to possess the kingdom. And then again, in verse 18, but the Kodashim of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Right? So now we have an understanding of these Kodashim are to rule with their king. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so by the way, that whole Daniel 7 breakdown, it precepts to Revelation 13. Okay, so if you're looking to get a more in-depth look into what I consider the serpent kingdom, okay, the kingdom that Satan is going to set up with those 10 kings, and then the son of perdition rises up as that 11th little horn that was talking all that noise, right? And then he subdues 3 of the kings, of the 10 kings. So all that That's the end, or the bottom. That's the toes of the Nebuchadnezzar statue. In any case, this precepts to Revelation 13. Okay, so let's take a look at Revelation 21. Okay, so all things made new. That's where this starts. But the New Jerusalem is coming down. So everything about this, about the New Jerusalem, is basically going to be the headquarters of the kingdom of Yah. Okay, this is where the Kodashim will live along with the Most High and Mashiach, the Son of the Most High. So if you look at how the New Jerusalem is built, okay, like everything about it is is pointing to Yasharel. Let's see, there's 12 foundations. Okay, right? On them were the names of the 12 apostles. Okay, so the foundation stones, there's 12 foundation stones of the city. On each stone is the disciples of Mashiach, of Yeshua. Let's see. It's 12,000 furlongs. Okay, here he measured its wall 144 cubits. Okay, that's associating to the 144K, or the 144,000, the first fruits of Yasharel. Let's see. Okay, here, there's the gems. These are the gems, if you go back and look, that are on the ephod that the priests wear. So all these gems associate to each of the 12 tribes. And then there's 12 gates with 12 pearls. But anyway, so everything about this city tells you that it is going to be the place for Yasharel. And this is who's being given as a bride to Yeshua, right? Even in the Old Covenant, the Most High is married to his people. So also, this also gives more understanding to the great banquet that's brought up, that Yeshua had brought up, where, everybody's at this great banquet. Abraham and, all of Yasharel, or the righteous, right, of Yasharel. They're all the righteous of the nations. So this kind of gives understanding to that whole great banquet scene. So we have this wedding scene here where Yasharel is made pure and ready as the bride to our King, Yeshua. Okay? And then the rest of the nations are there as the guests. Hopefully I'm not going off on too many tangents here. But okay, so let's get into who are the Kodashim. Okay, so if we look at Deuteronomy 33, so here it says, now this is the blessing with which Moses, the man of Elohim, blessed the children of Yasharel before his death. And he said, Yah came from Sinai and dawned on them from Seir. He shone forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of Kodashim. From his right hand came a fiery law for them. Yes, he loves the people. All his Kodashim are in your hand. They sit down at your feet. Everyone receives your words. Moshe commanded a law for us, a heritage of the congregation of Yaakov. Okay, now notice he said heritage of the congregation of Yaakov, right? He's speaking to Yasharel about these things. and considers them, where was it? Okay, and he says he came with 10,000s of Kodashim. Okay, by the way, this associates, right? Because from his right hand came a fiery law for them, right? So that also correlates to what we just read in Daniel 7. Okay, Psalm 132. 13 through 18. For Yah has chosen Zion. He has desired it for his dwelling place. This is my resting place forever. Here I will dwell, for I have desired it. I will abundantly bless her provision. I will satisfy her poor with bread. I will also clothe her priests with salvation, and her Kodashim shall shout aloud for joy. There I will make the horn of David grow. I will prepare a lamp for my anointed, for my Mashiach. His enemies I will clothe with shame, but upon himself his crown shall flourish. So I'm starting to really notice just now as well, but Mashiach is coming up a lot in these scriptures. So here he is again. Also, Yah has chosen Zion, right? Let's see. This is my resting place forever. And we know that he will be in Jerusalem, right? In the New Jerusalem forever. So Zion coincides with Jerusalem. Even right now, like Zion is a portion of Jerusalem. So let me go back. Okay, so this is the first passage we looked at with Deuteronomy 33. Yeah, so here he loves the people. All his Kodashim are in your hand. So again, this is Mashiach's hand. They sit down at your feet. Everyone receives your words. Okay, just interesting to see that how often Mashiach comes up, even in the Old Covenant. Okay, Psalm 148:14. And he has exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his Kodashim, of the children of Yasharel, a people near to him, praise Yah. I think that really spells it out there. But the Kodashim are the righteous of his people, Yasharel. Okay, Psalm 149. Take a look at that. Okay, so that's the next chapter. Okay, praise Yah, sing to Yah a new song, and his praise in the assembly of Kodashim. Let Yasharel rejoice in their Maker. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their King. Let them praise his name with the dance. Let them sing praises to him with the timbrel and harp. For Yah takes pleasure in his people. He will beautify the humble with salvation. Let the Kodashim be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud on their beds. Let the high praises of Elohim be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance on the nations. Notice, okay, so now we have a comparison. Because they're bringing up the Kodashim and they're bringing up the nations. To execute vengeance on the nations and punishments on the peoples, to bind their kings with chains. That's interesting, because that's exactly what happened to the Kodashim, right? To Yasharel, the world enslaved Yasharel, now we see that the Kodashim are binding their kings with chains of the nations, and their nobles with fetters of iron. to execute on them the written judgment. This honor have all his Kodashim. Praise Yah. Now this correlates to, let me see, Revelation 13. Okay, so let's go there real quick. Notice the slavery that was brought up here. So if we go down to Revelation 10, and I'll start in verse 9. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the Kodashim. Okay, so that's why he specifically mentions the Kodashim associated to this, because who knows slavery better than Yasharel? You see? So anyway, that was important though, as we continue. But really in Daniel 7, we have already seen, how this plays out. And we've already kind of are looking and getting a much better idea of the role of Yasharel. Okay? Yasharel, or the Kodashim, right? The righteous of the nation of Yasharel are going to reign with our king. Okay, that's why that's where we get that term, the King of Kings. So if the whole nation, if the Kodashim are kings and queens and royalty, then that would explain that our king, Yeshua, is the King of Kings. Okay, so I'm going to look at Deuteronomy 7:6, and it just really reiterates what we just found out in Daniel 7. But Deuteronomy 7, verse 6. Okay, we'll start in verse 1 just to get some context. So he says, when Yah, your Elohim, brings you into the land which you go to possess, and has cast out many nations before you. Okay, and he goes into all the nations. And when Yah, your Elohim, delivers them over to you, you shall conquer them and utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy to them. Okay, so these, he's definitely talking to Yasharel. That's my point right now. So now we go down to verse 6. He says, for you are a holy people to Yah, your Elohim. Yah, your Elohim, has chosen you to be a people for himself, a special treasure above all the peoples on the face of the earth. So again, that's what we just read, right? Okay, continuing on. Yah did not set his love on you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any other people, for you were the least of all peoples, but because Yah loves you, and because he would keep the oath which he swore to your fathers. Yah has brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of bondage, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim. So again, Yasharel is a holy people, a special people to the Most High. Okay? Not because of how strong we are, or because we're smarter, or because we dance better, or whatever. Okay? We are special to him because he chose us. That's it. So this is Deuteronomy. Okay? That's a book of Moshe. So let's go into the new covenant and see what it says there. So I'm gonna go to 1 Peter 2. Okay, I'm dropped down to verse 9. So here Peter says, but you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light, who once were not a people, but are now the people of Elohim, who had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. So he reiterates what we just read in Deuteronomy 7. Let's go back to chapter 1 and make sure that everything is consistent of what we're seeing so far, because he's bringing up this holy nation again, right? So let's go back. Okay, so this is still 1 Peter chapter 1. So it says, Peter, an apostle of Yeshua HaMashiach, to the pilgrims of the dispersion. Okay, the sojourners, temporary residents. So he's writing to the diaspora of Yasharel. And then he explains what regions that they are in. Okay, elect according to the foreknowledge of Elohim the Father, in sanctification of the Ruach, for obedience and sprinkling of the blood of Yeshua HaMashiach. Grace to you and peace be multiplied. So he is definitely talking to his people. Okay, so when we read that in the 2nd chapter, this is all consistent even in the new covenant. Okay, right? This is after Yeshua has come down to earth, lived his life on earth, died, went to Sheol, came back up, and resurrected and ascended back into heaven. Okay? And it is still the same for the people of Yah. So considering all that, right now in the world where we are, Yasharel is in a broken state. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at Isaiah 49. Actually, I have it up over here. What was it? Isaiah 49, 17 through 19. Okay. Sorry, Isaiah 49, 14 through 18. I was like, I thought I said this started at 14. Okay, so verse 14, but Zion said, Yah has forsaken me, and my Adonai has forgotten me. Can a woman forget her nursing child, and not have compassion on the son of her womb? Surely they may forget, yet I will not forget you. See, I have inscribed you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me. Your sons shall make haste. Your destroyers and those who laid you waste shall go away from you. Lift up your eyes, look around and see. All these gather together and come to you. As I live, says Yah, you shall surely clothe yourselves with them all as an ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does. Man, so here he is prophesying, okay? But this definitely, I feel like this first statement is so strong, it's so heavy. Yah has forsaken me, and my Adonai has forgotten me. Because Zion and Yasharel in general, up until recently, you know, the awakening is definitely happening now, right? We're starting to remember who we are. But I mean, we have been in a broken state for so long now that, you know, we have been living in a place of no hope, you know, spiritually and physically for a lot of us, all throughout the world. Like, no matter what nation we've gone to, you know, it's the same story. And so this really captures it so well. The last bit I just read, let's see, lift up your eyes, look around and see, all these gather together and come to you. As I live, says Yah, you shall surely clothe yourselves with them all as an ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does. So a couple things. First of all, this precepts to Isaiah 60. So you know, if you want, go read Isaiah 60. You'll see how this associates. Also, you shall surely clothe yourselves with them all as an ornament. Okay, so he's talking to Zion, right? In the incorruptible realm, Zion is a person, is a woman. Okay, this comes up in I think it's 2nd Esdras in a couple chapters. there's a whole breakdown where Ezra has he basically, I don't want to say interviews, but there's a definite back and forth between them, and he's not really sure who he's talking to at first. He thinks he's just talking to a person, but she literally transfigures before him. So anyway, with that understanding, hopefully this makes more sense. Okay, so right now, even though, where we are in the world, we're in a lowered state, I'm going to take a look at Zechariah 12. So, I'm just going to start in verse 7. But for context, I would recommend reading this whole chapter, the whole chapter, chapter 12. But here, verse 7, it says, Yah will save the tents of Yehudah first, so that the glory of the house of Dawid and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem or Yerushalayim shall not become greater than that of Yehudah. In that day, Yah will defend the inhabitants of Yerushalayim. The one who is feeble among them in that day shall be like Dawid, and the house of Dawid shall be like Elohim, like the angel of Yah before them. It shall be in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Yerushalayim. So here, the Most High is making a definite statement. There is something about Yehudah or Judah that is special to the Most High, even among Yasharel. So this is reiterated again in Psalm 78. So I'm going to go there. Psalm 78, 67, 68. Okay, so verse 67 of Psalm 78, he says, Moreover, he rejected the tent of Yosef, or Joseph, and did not choose the tribe of Ephraim, but chose the tribe of Yehudah, Mount Zion, which he loved. Okay, so again, this is reiterated, and remember this, we see this with Mashiach. Okay, now remember, Yeshua is just like his father. And so remember when he takes a couple of the disciples up to a mountain, and they see him transfigured on top of this mountain. So they see him in his glory. But he didn't take all the disciples. He only took, I think, 3. So only those 3 got to see, him transfigure and speak with, I think it was Moses and Elijah. So he also is showing that, there are certain things where, he chooses, even of his chosen, certain, a certain portion even out of that. So I'm just showing that there's consistency with the Most High, as well as what we see with Yeshua. Okay, so I'm going to read a couple passages here, and I'll read these, and then I'll get into this a little bit, and then I'm just going to give like an overall summary. But I just wanted to really emphasize the role of Yasharel through Scripture. Okay, so Ezekiel 20, 33 through 44. Okay, as I live, says the Most High Yah, surely with a mighty hand, with an outstretched arm, and with fury poured out, I will rule over you. I will bring you out from the peoples, and gather you out of the countries where you are scattered, with a mighty hand, with an outstretched arm, and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the peoples, and there I will plead my case with you face to face, just as I pleaded my case with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Mitzrayim. So I will plead my case with you, says the Most High Yah. I will make you pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. I will purge the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me. I will bring them out of the country where they dwell, but they shall not enter the land of Yasharel. Then you will know that I am Yah. Okay, so all you Israelites out there, he's telling us straight up here that what happened in the past is going to happen again. In the first Exodus, the Most High brought his people out, right, into the wilderness. We failed a test, and because of the test we failed, we had to roam in the wilderness for 40 years until that generation died out. So he's saying again, we are going to be brought into the wilderness. We will be tested again. So here he says, I will make you pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. I will purge the rebels from among you, and those who transgress against me. So that's what we see, the second Exodus coming. That means that this test is also coming. Then he says, I will bring them out of the country where they dwell. So he says, I'm going to bring you out of captivity, but only the Kodashim will make it back to the land. Okay, so continuing on, verse 39. As for you, O house of Yasharel, thus says the Most High Yah, go, serve every one of you his idols, and hereafter, if you will not obey me, but profane my holy name no more with your gifts and your idols. For on my holy mountain, on the mountain height of Yasharel, says the Most High Yah, there all the house of Yasharel, all of them in the land, shall serve me. There I will accept them, and there I will require your offerings and the first fruits of your sacrifices, together with all your holy things. I will accept you as a sweet aroma when I bring you out from the peoples and gather you out of the countries where you have been scattered, and I will be hallowed in you before the Gentiles. Okay, so he's going to make a point to reveal us in the face of the Gentiles, so it will completely put that argument to rest. Everyone will know who we are. Then you shall know that I am Yah, when I bring you into the land of Yasharel, into the country for which I raised my hand in an oath to give to your fathers. And there you shall remember your ways, and all your doings with which you were defiled. And you shall loathe yourselves in your own sight because of all the evils that you have committed. Then you shall know that I am Yah, when I have dealt with you for my name's sake, not according to your wicked ways, nor according to your corrupt doings, O house of Yasharel, says the Most High Yah. So notice that his name, okay, he does not want his name to be profaned, and that's one of the 10 commandments. So, we definitely shouldn't be doing that, right? But his name is holy, and he doesn't want it defiled, neither by our words nor by our actions, okay? And specifically for Israelites, because by lineage you bear his name. Okay, so we're going to look at, let's see. Okay, so same prophet, Ezekiel, and then we're going to go to chapter 36, and notice again that the his name and defilement comes up again. Okay, 16 through 32. Okay, and again, this is going over the refinement of Yasharel. So the transition from being the shame of the nations, or our shame among the nations, I guess is more accurate. But and being him rising us up spiritually and then physically. So verse 16, moreover the word of Yah came to me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Yasharel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own ways and deeds. To me, their way was like the uncleanness of a woman in her customary impurity. Therefore I poured out my fury on them for the blood they had shed on the land, and for their idols with which they had defiled it. So I scattered them among the nations, and they were dispersed throughout the countries. I judged them according to their ways and their deeds. Okay, so he told us. Let's see. So this is Ezekiel. I just want to get a timeline and see. That's not what I wanted. Okay. Ezekiel. Okay, so that was 6th century BC. Okay, so that's a little over 2,000 years before the slave trade began. Okay, so I scattered them among the nations. So he told us this 2,000 years before he moved to allow it to be done. I mean, that's mercy and patience and compassion. But anyway, he knew what was going to happen. Okay, and they were dispersed throughout the countries. I judged them according to their ways and their deeds. When they came to the nations, wherever they went, they profaned my holy name. There it is again. When they said of them, these are the people of Yah, and yet they have gone out of his land. But I had concern for my holy name, which the house of Yasharel had profaned among the nations wherever they went. So he's saying that everybody was profaning his name, because when he sent us to these nations, right? He sent us to the nations in chains, and they looked upon us, and then they said, these are the people of Yah, and yet they have gone out of his land. He's saying because we bear his name and people spoke against us, that they profaned his name. But then also, Yasharel ourselves profaned his name, right? But I had concern for my holy name, which the house of Yasharel had profaned among the nations wherever they went. Verse 22, therefore say to the house of Yasharel, thus says the Most High Yah, I do not do this for your sake, O house of Yasharel, but for my holy name's sake, which you have profaned among the nations wherever you went. And I will sanctify my great name, which has been profaned among the nations, which you have profaned in their midst. And the nations shall know that I am Yah, says the Most High Yah, when I am hallowed in you before their eyes. There it is again. This is important to him because of what they said and how they treated us. So he is going to raise us up and not allow anyone, to cause any more confusion about who his people are. We are going to be made holy by him before them, before before our enemies, before our oppressors. For I will take you from among the nations, gather you out of all countries, and bring you into your own land. Then I will sprinkle clean water on you, and you shall be clean. I will cleanse you from all your filthiness and from all your idols. I will give you a new heart and put a new ruach within you. I will take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. I will put my ruach within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you will keep my judgments and do them. Then you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers. You shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. I will deliver you from all your uncleannesses. I will call for the grain and multiply it, and bring no famine upon you. And I will multiply the fruit of your trees and the increase of your fields, so that you need never again bear the reproach of famine among the nations. Then you will remember your evil ways and your deeds that were not good, and you will loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and your abominations. Not for your sake do I do this, says the Most High Yah. Let it be known to you. Be ashamed and confounded for your own ways, O house of Yasharel. So, as a people, as his people, we have turned our back on him, so he hid his face from us. Okay? But for the sake of his name, which we bear, he will move for us. Verse 33, thus says the Most High Yah, on the day that I cleanse you from all your iniquities, I will also enable you to dwell in the cities, and the ruins shall be rebuilt. The desolate land shall be tilled instead of lying desolate in the sight of all who pass by. As I'm reading this, think about the land that we're going to go to and think about what's happening there, okay, right now. So if everything is in ruins when we get back, that should tell you something. Verse 35, so they will say, this land that was desolate has become like the Garden of Eden, and the wasted, desolate, and ruined cities are now fortified and inhabited. Then the nations which are left all around you shall know that I, Yah, have rebuilt the ruined places and planted what was desolate. I, Yah, have spoken it, and I will do it. So, he is going to raise us up, right? And we will no longer, be beggars among, and in a lowered state among the nations, but he will bring us back to our land, and he will replenish us, with renewal of our ruach, of our spirit, as well as the land. So he will completely bless us and raise us up again. Okay, so what does this mean for the Gentiles and the rest of the nations outside of Yasharel? So first of all, I just want to make it clear, there is not going to be slavery in the kingdom of Yah. Okay? There will be a hierarchy, which this whole study has really been talking about, a hierarchy where Yasharel will be ruling over the rest of the nations, right? But that doesn't mean that it's not going to be the way that the kingdoms of the earth have been here. Okay, so from the Gentile perspective, or from these nations, the Hamitic nations and the rest of the nations outside of Yasharel, hopefully this is encouraging for you as well, because imagine being part of a society, being a citizen in a kingdom where all the governors, all the princes, all the kings, all the queens, all of the authorities over you, okay, and over your regions are righteous. Okay? Their eye is single on the Most High. Okay? And so if that's true, then these kings and all these authorities that are made up from the Kodashim will look at their regions and look at their responsibilities, over whatever the Most High gives us. We will look at it as we will be serving our people, right? I mean, that's what Yeshua came and did. That's his example that he gave to us. So when he turns around and gives us power and dominion, that's what we're going to do. So it's not going to be now we're on top and you're on the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's carnal thinking. So anyway, I wanted to bring this up. Revelation 7. I forgot to go into Lamentations. But let's see. Regarding Yasharel being a broken state, if you look at Lamentations 4, 17 through 19 and 22, it really hits right now, especially in America. So, but anyway, Revelation 7. Okay, I'll start in verse 9 here. So, by the way, he just went over the 144K, the first fruits, or the tithe of Yasharel. Okay. So verse 9, after these things I looked, and behold, a great multitude which no one could number, of all nations, tribes, peoples, and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, with palm branches in their hands. Okay. And crying because they were going into slavery? No. Okay, crying out with a loud voice, saying, salvation belongs to our Elohim who sits on the throne and to the Lamb. This is not the voice nor the words of a slave. These people are free, right? They're clothed with white robes. They have palm branches. They're singing praise. Okay, and this is a great multitude which no one could number, of all nations, tribes, peoples, and tongues. So every single citizen that gets into the kingdom of Yah, and if you keep the commandment, if you keep the commandments and the faith in Yeshua, then you are already a citizen. You're already a citizen of this kingdom. You're just stuck in the carnal world still. But all these people are exceedingly happy. They're completely overjoyed, right? Anyway, continuing on. All the angels stood around the throne, and the elders, and the 4 living creatures, and fell on their faces before the throne, and worshipped Elohim, saying, Amen, blessing and glory and wisdom, thanksgiving and honor and power and might be to our Elohim forever and ever. Amen. Then one of the elders answered, saying to me, who are these arrayed in white robes, and where did they come from? And I said to him, Sir, you know. So he said to me, these are the ones who come out of the great tribulation, and washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore they are before the throne of Elohim, and serve him day and night in his temple. And he who sits on the throne will dwell among them. They shall neither hunger any more, nor thirst any more. The sun shall not strike them, nor any heat. For the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne will shepherd them, and lead them to living fountains of waters, and Elohim will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Hallelujah. So again, they are exceedingly and overwhelmingly overjoyed, right? Their suffering is over. Okay? Now notice here it says, let's see. Therefore they are before the throne of Elohim, and serve him day and night in his temple. But earlier, we talked about New Jerusalem, right? So New Jerusalem is, specifically for Yasharel. Like, all the gates are associated to the tribes of Yasharel, right? So what is going on here? What does this mean? So let's take a look at, again, in Revelation, what was it, 21? Let's see. Oops. Okay, so here, all right, remember he spoke about the New Jerusalem. Verse 22, but I saw no temple in it, for the Most High Elohim, Almighty El Shaddai, and the Lamb are its temple. So when we go to Revelation 7 here, it says, therefore they are before the throne of Elohim, and serve him day and night in his temple. Then this is telling us that they are in a interim place. Okay, so as they begin their tribulation, okay, the great tribulation has already begun, by the way, but the great tribulation is ending for Yasharel. Remember, Paul, he states this. He says everything happens to the Yahudi first, then the Greek, or then the Gentile. So his people, we went through our tribulation, and it was for sure great, right? Through the slave trade and, being captive in all these nations. Now our tribulation is ending, and he is beginning to raise us up. We're starting to remember who we are. He's about to bring us out of the nations, okay? But now that he's raising us up and our tribulation is ending, the Gentile tribulation is just now beginning, okay? So that's the understanding here, okay? So that's what he's talking about with the rest of the nations. Now they're going to go through their tribulation. But in any case, this temple is from after they have given their lives on earth. Okay, and the righteous of the nations are coming into heaven, and they are serving the Most High in his temple. Okay, that's why here at the end it says, for the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne will shepherd them and lead them to living fountains of waters. Okay, so what's going on with these living fountains of waters? We go to Revelation 22, the first topic, the river of life. Now, at the end of Revelation 21, he was just creating the new earth, right? The new heavens. And in verse 22, verse 1, he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding from the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb. In the middle of its street and on either side of the river was the tree of life. Okay, so here's the living waters, and here's the tree of life comes up again. It's kind of like bookends on human history. Okay, but in any case, so now this water is ready. Okay, and Yeshua is leading them down to the waters. I'm gonna bring this up. Hopefully it helps a little bit with this understanding. Alright, we'll just use this one. Okay, so here's the land of Yasharel, according to scripture, okay? According to the territories. And I'll just mention this. If you subscribe to the idea that Yasharel is, further down in Africa, hopefully you're not triggered by this, because that's not the point. But the point I'm trying to make here is that this is the kingdom of Yah. This is where Yasharel will be. Here's where, in this area is going to be where the New Jerusalem is. The rest of the nations are going to be, think of like the Roman Empire, okay? The Roman Empire was great in its time, at least we'll say powerful, right? But there was the Roman Empire, and then there were all these different provinces. Basically, there was these other regions. They weren't really part of Rome, but they were conquered by Rome. That's what the rest of the nations represent. So the rest of the nations, okay, everybody else outside of this is where all the other nations will be. Okay, I don't know if it's going to still look this way, because he said that there's going to be a new earth, a new heavens. So it could be, the land will probably even look different, but it will be much bigger, much larger. Okay, and the rest of these nations, just like Yasharel, the land of Yasharel will be the Kodashim, the righteous of Yasharel. The rest of the nations will be the righteous of those nations. Okay, so that's where everybody else will be. And then annually, at least, the nations will come to Yasharel and give glory and honor to the Most High. Okay, this is really symbolized well in, I think it's Zechariah 13. Let's see. It's not Zechariah 13. Sorry. Okay, it's Zechariah 14. But if you read verse 16, at least through 19, okay, you'll see that, and this is before, all the nations. This is before the final judgment. Okay, before the final judgment of the Most High. It's already being symbolized. Okay, so Yasharel is back in our land, and people are paying tribute to the Most High by coming and recognizing the Feast of Tabernacles. And he even specifically makes a statement that for those who do not honor the Feast of Tabernacles, that do not honor the Most High, he's basically going to sanction them with famine. So, let's see. Shall receive the plague with which Yah strikes the nations who do not come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Yeah, okay, so it says, on them there will be no rain. Okay, so that's the actual scripture there. But in any case, let's see. I just wanted to bring this up because it seems like there's a lot of ideas in which like everybody's going to be living in this one city where the New Jerusalem is. No, and just because everyone is not going to be in that city, also it doesn't mean that everybody else is slaves, or there's been some interesting ideas about this. But in any case, everybody who has citizenship into the kingdom of Yah will be ecstatic, okay? And there is hierarchy again, just like Yeshua said, where he says that that the least, the person who is the least in heaven is still greater than John the Baptist at that time, right? So even there, he's showing that there is, hierarchy. Look at the, some people call them archangels, or the chief or prince angels. Okay, so in order for you to have that terminology, it implies within itself some sort of hierarchy. So Yasharel will rule over the rest of the nations, okay? But we will rule righteously according to our King, right? And everything stems from the Most High. So I hope that was helpful. All praises to the Most High Yah and to the Lion of Yehuda. Peace.